Welcome to Theory of Pets. I'm a passionate pet owner with a drive to help others like me uncover the truth about the pet industry and what goes on behind the scenes. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another Theory of Pets podcast. My name is Samantha, and this week I wanted to talk to you guys about separation anxiety in pets. Now, this is something that we see very commonly, and especially this time of year, kids are going back to school. Things are starting to kind of pick up as that happens. There's fall sports and the holidays are coming. So we're out shopping or we're visiting family and friends, and our dogs are being left alone, and cats as well can suffer from separation anxiety. Our pets are being left alone for longer periods of time, and that's when a lot of people start to notice that their dog is either a new dog has separation anxiety, or a pet that they've had for a little while, maybe as they age, are getting a little bit of separation anxiety when their family is gone. So this week I talked with Petcurean's health and nutrition specialist, Michel Dixon, and Michel gave me some tips and tricks about separation anxiety and how to deal with it. She talked to me about things that we should be looking for to notice it in our pets. Obviously, severe cases, dogs can cause harm to themselves. They'll chew on themselves. They may try and escape the house or the yard and do harm to themselves. And that stuff is pretty easy to notice. But more mild cases, some of the signs are a lot less extreme, and there might just be some panting or some pacing, things like that. And even though it's not extreme, even though your dog's not causing harm to himself, you still need to be very mindful of it, because it's something that is making your pet uncomfortable. If you're gone, say, to work and your children are gone to school, and maybe nobody's at home with your dog for 10 hours a day, your dog is uncomfortable. And that's not anything as pet owners that we even want to think about. That's something that breaks our heart, thinking about our dog pacing or panting, not being able to just rest and relax when we're gone. That's what our pets should be doing, maybe chewing on some of their toys or playing for a little while, but being able to rest and relax and enjoy that quiet time while they have it to themselves. And then obviously, the family comes home and there's a lot of loud noises and playing and stimulation. So during those hours when they're alone, they should be able to be happy and enjoy themselves. And if you're noticing signs of separation anxiety in your dog, then he's not enjoying himself the way that he should be while you're not at home. So again, I spoke with Michel Dixon, and she is the health and nutrition specialist at Petcurean, which is a pet food company that I will leave a link to their site in the show notes on our website, theoryofpets.com. If you're listening to this on iTunes or another format, you can go ahead and jump on our website. You can see the show notes and get Michel's information as well as Petcurean's information, and anything else that she speaks about during the interview, things like that. I'll link to everything, so you can get all of that right on our website in the show notes. And while you're on our website, if you could just take a quick minute to leave a comment or a question, you can do that by typing, or you can leave a recorded message for me. I respond to all the comments and I listen to all your comments. Some of them I may use in future shows, so be aware of that if you're recording one. And also, if you would just take a couple of minutes to jump on iTunes and give me a review, the more reviews that I get, the faster I can grow the podcast and the more outreach I can have to the pet industry to speak with experts like Michel. So if you guys can just take a second to do that, I would really appreciate it. So here we go with the interview. Can you just start by giving me a little bit of background about yourself, kind of, and how you got into the veterinary field?
Sure. So I'm actually the health and nutrition specialist for Petcurean. I've been with Petcurean for about 13 years now. Very fortunate to be able to have my dream job working with animals and helping people solve issues. I also did a dog training apprenticeship, so my world is really revolved around animals and helping animals. So really fortunate to be able to have that passion in my life and be able to use it in the way that it's helpful for people.
Yeah, that's great. And so talking about the topic of separation anxiety, what is separation anxiety and why should pet parents be concerned about it as an issue with their animals?
Yeah, separation anxiety is actually a condition where animals exhibit signs of distress by increased anxiety, particularly when they're left alone. They should be concerned about it because it does create unhappiness in the pet, and you're certainly not bringing out the best relationship that you can have with your pet, and it can also create a lot of stress for the pet parent as well.
Absolutely. I know as, as pet owners, we want the best for our pets, not just physically, but emotionally as well. So that plays into that. And what are those, if a pet parent maybe is concerned that their dog's having some separation anxiety issues, what are some of the physiological or behavioral signs that they should be looking for?
Yeah, some of the signs that you'll see would be howling, panting, soiling in the house. And in some cases, that soiling in the house can actually be stress diarrhea. You'll see chewing, ripping and shredding of items, pacing the house is a big one. And escaping the yard is also really common. And oftentimes it's done without a thought of self-preservation. It's sort of done in a way where it's like, I just have to leave. And it's quite an anxious leaving mechanism.
And maybe the dog would cause injury to himself or something like that if he was trying to escape because of an anxiety issue.
Yes, yeah, and they'll even, do injury to themselves by chewing and ripping of shredding of items. You'll see it with door jambs in particular, where their teeth get injured, bloody gums, that sort of thing.
Trying to get out of the house.
Yeah.
Do you think there are certain animals or breeds of dogs that are more prone to separation anxiety than others, or is it just kind of a random thing?
There are certain breeds that are more prone to separation anxiety. It's really important to ask a lot of questions if you're interested in the specific breed of dogs, because each breed has their own specific idiosyncrasies. So yes, ask a lot of questions and do your research and reach out to other people who might have that particular breed to see if they've experienced any sort of idiosyncrasies such as separation anxiety.
Absolutely.
The other thing is that early training and tips for you and your pet is the best medicine to prevent separation anxiety. So this ensures that you set yourself up for success by using prevention techniques for that particular breed of dog.
Great. I know, and I advocate a lot for that on our site as well, just to do your research and know what you're getting into. I think a lot of people think about adopting a dog and they think about, I want a small breed or a large breed and kind of what they want them to look like, but they don't put as much thought into those different idiosyncrasies of different breeds. And, some are easier to train, some are harder to train. If you have a breed that's prone to issues like separation anxiety, you could be in for a lengthy amount of training that's going to be very time consuming. And so you want to make sure that you have time set aside for that.
Yes, definitely. Most definitely.
Is separation anxiety fairly common in pets?
Yeah, it's something that we rarely talked about decades ago, but now it's right up at the top of the list of one of the most common behavioral disorders in dogs in particular. You'll hear about it at the dog park. It's common conversation in dog training circles and with pet owners in general. It's likely due to the fact that in the past, animals were rarely left alone during the day. And of course now it's the norm where both people in the household are working and the children are away at school if they do have children. So it's pretty normal for dogs to be left alone, whereas in the past they weren't really left alone that often.
Sure. Is it a condition that you see in cats as well?
Sometimes you see it in cats, and they're a little bit more subtle in their behavior, but but they do demonstrate, particularly with urinating in the house, their displeasure with not having time being spent with them. So it's really important to make sure that you're spending time, good quality time with an animal, being interactive.
Sure. So you mentioned a little bit about training as a treatment. So it can be treated and completely gotten rid of, or is it something that kind of is always there and you just sort of have to work with it for the life of your pet?
I think it really depends on the pet, how responsive the owner is to the situation, and how sort of the history of the pet and how adaptable they are. The best thing that you can do in any situation like that is prevention. It can go a long way if you set your pet up for success by starting early. Like if you consider leaving them home alone for short periods of time and gradually start increasing this can be really effective for the prevention of separation anxiety. When it gets into treating it, some tips and tricks, having your items packed in advance of leaving can be most helpful. As this kind of a flurry of activity that happens when you're exiting the door, ensuring that your departures and arrivals are calm, and change up the things that you leave. And when you leave, buys an advance, casually walk through, and then when returning, wait time before greeting your pet. There's also toys and help to keep your pet's mind off of the departure, and doggy daycares can be a good option for longer absences. I'm not sure about cat daycares, but I'm sure they probably exist.
I'm sure somewhere they have it.
Yes, I'm sure they do. It'd be great, provided the cat would like that.
And I know there are also some products on the market. The Thunder shirt always obviously pops up, but there are certain products like that that are supposed to help dogs with anxiety. Do you recommend any particular products, or just stick with the training?
Yeah, the Thunder shirt they've done quite a bit of research on, and it seems to be fairly effective based on the research, and I've certainly seen it in use a lot. And dog dependent, again, it can be very effective.
Great. And then the other thing I know some veterinarians will recommend it is a treatment with medication. And that's kind of a controversial thing, I think, in the veterinary field, but also for pet parents. Some parents don't want to medicate their dog for anything that's not completely necessary. Would you recommend treatment for a severe case with medication?
Yeah, I think a vet exam, at the very beginning is always a good idea, because there's some issues that can look a lot like separation anxiety can create separation anxiety. So it's a good idea to definitely consult with a vet. A veterinary behaviorist might be a good option. Medication is something that you would discuss for sure with the veterinarian, but animal behavior consultants, as well as many trainers, are well versed in methods for reducing or alleviating the symptoms of separation anxiety. So if you're prepared with your questions, and keep a chart of the incidents as they happen, sometimes that can be your best method for ensuring that you're going to have success in treating it.
Yeah, one of the things that I was actually going to ask you was what pet parents should be looking for if they do decide to work with a trainer. And, that's a great tip, to record incidences and maybe what your dog's doing. Sometimes when you go, whether it's to a vet or to a trainer, and you want to say so much, but it's kind of overwhelming, and you maybe forget some things, or, can't remember right then the things that you wanted to say. So that's a really great tip, to just write down some of the things that you want to talk about, and some of the things that maybe your dog is doing and that you want help with.
Yes, and what the dog is doing, as well as what you're doing at that time. The incidents have a pattern normally that is followed, and leaving the house is a good indicator of how you might solve that scenario.
Oh, wonderful. And there are trainers that are skilled in working with pets with separation anxiety. So that would be I know you touched on that briefly, but that would be your recommendation, to just ask questions and make sure that you're working with somebody that has some experience in that area.
Yes, and ask them what their training methods are and what their success rate is.
Oh, that's a good
always was a good option.
Definitely. And then I know some people think that they just need to rehome a dog if they like work for long hours, or if they frequently travel and don't take their pet with them. I think that would be like a last resort kind of thing, I guess. But would you ever recommend that? Do you think that there are dogs that just it's just not treatable for whatever reason, that their separation anxiety is going to be severe no matter what you do?
Yeah, owning a pet, it's a huge responsibility and it requires such a time investment. Rehoming a dog with separation anxiety may increase the issues, because it's not uncommon to see separation anxiety, in particular with dogs that have been rehomed numerous times. But rehoming a pet with separation anxiety can have its challenges, but it's best to discuss this with someone who's knowledgeable about the behavior, and then they can guide you, and they can also guide the potential new owner so that they know what they're up against.
Great advice.
Sometimes it can be greatly successful, particularly if you have a retired couple that are home all the time. They're willing to take the responsibility on and understand, what is required of them to make sure that the dog can have the best, most comfortable life.
Absolutely. That's all the questions that I have, but is there anything else about anxiety or any of the things that we discussed today that you'd like to say more about?
Yeah, I just think prevention, is the best medicine. It's common for us as humans to want to respond to our pet in the way that humans respond to each other. And prevention, by ensuring that when you leave the house, that you're calm, that you're not making a big fuss before you leave, and that when you come in the door, that you're not creating a lot of adverse excitement when you come in the door, is probably the two things that you can do to really prevent separation anxiety from happening, and preventing having to rehome your dog, or in some cases euthanasia is explored by people. So we just don't want to see that happen.
Again, I just need to thank Michelle for coming on and speaking with me today. I think that separation anxiety in pets is something that a lot of pet parents aren't educated about. It's something that people don't really think about when they are thinking about adopting an animal. And it's something that I think we really need to increase education about, because it is something that's becoming more and more common. It can be a very serious issue, especially if the situation is mild and you let it go untreated and you don't help your dog and work with him and train him. So I really want to thank her for coming on and helping to spread the word about pet anxiety more and educate our listeners about it. And, if you guys have any questions, again, jump on our website. It's theoryofpets.com. You can either type your questions or record them and ask any questions that you might have. If you have any comments or anything that maybe you think that Michelle could answer for you, I would be happy to reach out to her and get that question answered for you. And as I mentioned in the beginning, I may use some of those recorded comments or questions in future podcasts. So just to be aware of that when you do that. So thank you guys so much again for listening today. If you don't mind, if you enjoyed the podcast, I'd love it if you could just jump on iTunes really quickly and give us a quick review. It only takes a second. You can rate us with a number of stars that you think is acceptable, and then just leave a little comment. It only takes a couple of minutes, and it really helps to get the podcast out there for more people to see. And when I can expand that audience, I can reach out to more experts like Michel, who will be willing to come on and talk to me. And of course, if you guys have any questions about anything in the pet industry, whether it's food, grooming, training, if it's something like anxiety, some kind of medical issue that you guys want answers on, leave those for me on the website. Leave your suggestions, because that's what this is all about. That's what I want Theory of Pets to be, is just an environment where we as pet parents can come together and get our questions answered. I want to dig down into the pet industry and get those answers that we're all looking for. So make sure you leave those suggestions for me as well on theoryofpets.com, and I will be back next time, guys. Have a great week.